This is how much I made in just 24 hours with Shopify dropshipping, and here's how I did it. And I'm just going to click reload just to prove these results are completely legit. As you can see, this is how much we made on our best day with this product. And I'm going to show you in this video the challenges which I faced, the strategy I actually used to scale this, and how you can actually replicate my success. Now, Shopify dropshipping is basically when you sell things online, but you don't actually need a place to store any of the products. And when someone buys those products, you basically pay the supplier directly. They send it straight to the customer for you and do all the legwork, and then you collect the profit which is left over. So my personal goal was to basically try and find my first winner this year in 2024, and luckily I actually found it in January near the very beginning, within the first week or two. Now last year I actually found, I guess, kind of like a winner, but what I like to call a semi-winner, because I didn't actually walk away with profit from that product because it was extremely inconsistent, and I was using Facebook ads for it, which is usually quite a consistent platform, but the product was just kind of not hot anymore and it wasn't really selling as much, so I ended up losing a little bit of money with that product, but we still made some good revenue with it. So I realized I had to walk away from it and find something new to sell this year. Now I actually found this current product I'm selling through some meticulous product research. I took a long time to research the market and see what was selling and see what the competitors were actually being successful with right now. Now there's a few ways that I actually do this usually, and it's really dependent on the platform I'm actually selling on. So right now I'm selling on TikTok ads, not Facebook anymore. I'm focusing mainly on TikTok right now. So that obviously requires different tools. So usually on TikTok I'll use tools like scrolling on the TikTok feed and just typing in the hashtags like TikTok made me buy it, Amazon finds, AliExpress haul, those kind of general hashtags people use. But also I use the TikTok ad library, which shows you the best performing creatives right now and what are actually converting and selling, and you can see this from the engagement. Now there's also some other tools I use too. There's some paid tools and some useful other tools and software I use. If you're struggling with finding products which actually work and really convert and make some real sales, and you're tired of spending countless hours scrambling trying to find things during product research just for your ads to then end up flopping, then let me tell you something which I've been using for quite a while now, and it's an absolute game changer. This is Miner. There's a bunch of premium product lists which you can unlock, which features the top 100 winning products on Facebook, on TikTok, and also on Pinterest, along with top 100 trending e-commerce shops which are converting right now. This will show you a ton of ads on each of these platforms that people are selling right now and making a whole bunch of money with. As you can see, there's so many suggestions. They found winning creatives and winning shops for you to check out. Also, along with the top 10 products of the day on each platform, these are the best performing ad creatives from the last few months. You can watch them and then learn from them, or download them and rip them, but I don't condone that. Now the Ad Spy tool is the main core of why I actually like this, because you can actually dive deep into the actual data of things. So yet again, we can have a look at Facebook, Pinterest, or TikTok, and this brings you things like weekly winners, what's working right now, the monthly best performers, and also even the Q4 winners from the previous year. But the filters basically let you hone in on the perfect products by the dates, the media type, do you want to have a look at images or video ads, the engagement such as likes, comments, and shares, and also we can filter by Shopify products. And we can filter specific dropshipping only products to find people who are selling with dropshipping, so we can actually filter out the brands who obviously have their own custom products. Now if you're looking to scale, the shops browser is something which is quite useful because it shows people who are actually performing well. We can see products which are selling a lot. For example, this Australian gadget shop. We can have a look at who's converting a lot on Facebook, who's converting a lot on TikTok. Then we can see high ticket stores. So these are stores selling products for expensive prices, dropshipping only stores, and also single one product stores which are only selling one winning product. This is how we can find items that could skyrocket our success, and we could find brands which are selling things which are quite untapped. Now, for those of you guys who've watched my channel for literally months, you can go back and look at my old videos and you can see I've genuinely actually been using Miner in product research for a very long time. The product research tool is actually a feature that's helped me actually spot some pretty good trending products before the competition. This has some of the same filters and we can find winning products on all different platforms here. To be honest, I prefer this from the Ad Spy because it actually lets us see which products are working, and then we can take a look at ads from multiple competitors on those products. Now, if we click on a product such as this shower head and then we press see more, what I really do like is this generate for Shopify function, which basically slashes the product listing and testing times, and it saves you a whole bunch of time. You can basically select the language, then you can select an AI generated product name as well as some features that you can type in, or use the pre-generated ones such as the ones that they've generated on the list with AI. Then it will generate you an SEO optimized product description with sales copy and images in seconds, and then we can just list this directly on our Shopify store. So we can list products really quickly instead of spending hours setting them up before we test them. So if you're aggressively testing a lot of products, this saves you a whole bunch of time. There's also an influencer section here on Miner which allows you to do influencer marketing. This allows you to connect with some influencers who can actually promote your brand, which is particularly good if you're actually going the branded route or if you want to white label a product. If you want to dominate social media like TikTok and Instagram, you might want to hire some of these creators to actually promote your product and offer a little bit more social proof. You can also take a look at promotions which other brands are making right now with some of these influencers to see how they actually promote their brand through the influencers to get an idea on how you can do influencer marketing yourself. There's some good insights with this tool. Now, the success radar is a list that not everyone is going to have access to. This basically comes with a business plan, which I have, and it basically offers a list of hot products which updates every few hours, which have competition scores here, which basically shows how competitive a product is and how saturated it is. So you can identify unsaturated winners. So products which have the highest score are usually typically popular, but they're the least saturated. So you can hopefully identify those products where there's room in the market still to sell them. The magic search function is also quite useful. We could type in a keyword, for an example, projector, and we could search for products on the different ad platforms which match this key phrase, and it'll find us those products. You can also click search by image here and upload an image to also search for a product with it. Not to mention, on the product pages themselves, you can also click this button which says find suppliers. This basically allows you to quickly find a supplier for the product, such as Zendrop or AliExpress, where you can find someone who can fulfill it for your customer. So if you're struggling to source a product, you can find on Miner and then find a supplier to actually source it for you. If you're ready to take dropshipping seriously this year and get some serious sales, it's important that you focus more on your product research. And if you don't know how to validate a product, then using a tool like Miner can really help you to do so and gain an edge over the competition, particularly because they're offering you all the data and they're doing the research for you. So you basically save a bunch of time by using this tool, and you can analyze the market a lot easier than manually scrolling through social media. Check out the link in the description down below, deanalma.com/miner, if you do want to check out this tool. Sign up right now and just see the difference that it makes for you and your store and success in 2024. I use this tool. It's pretty useful. I use a whole bunch of tools, but this is definitely one of the best ones that I'm using right now. Now, I actually found my product during a pretty good time because people had actually stopped selling it after Q4, because during Q4, people had been really selling this product, really scaling it up on the lead up till Christmas, but people had then stopped selling it at the start of January, which is where I kind of swooped in and decided to start selling this product. So I basically took a fairly new product from Q4 that people had been running up that hadn't actually fallen out of its trend yet, so it's still kind of like a hot product, and I ran it back up when there was only like 1 or 2 people left selling it, and I could then use their marketing as inspiration, recreate it myself, and then start testing it, and it actually ended up working. Now, I first actually tested a ripped creative, and I definitely don't preach to rip creatives. Not a very good idea. It's not a best practice, and it doesn't always work, especially on TikTok. But I did this to kind of validate the product first, and after a day of testing it worked fairly well. I got quite a few add to carts of purchase intent, but my offer and my optimization wasn't quite there yet. But from what I could see, I knew I was on something at this point. But I do realize it was not an instant success at all, and we had to change a lot of things to actually make this work. In fact, the first market I actually sold in, which is the country that we're actually selling the product in, it didn't actually convert very well at all. We're actually trying to sell it in a typically quite a saturated market, so it didn't really perform as good as I thought it would. But this also could have been due to the offer and our pricing, which I changed later, so it would be advisable to retest it in that market maybe later. But I took it away from this market, I changed it to a completely different country that I sold it in, and then I switched up the offer as well. I made it a grand slam offer to the customer, basically a killer price for the product, really good deal, basically increased the value proposition, how valuable it looked to them. I just made it a higher perceived value, and I basically copied a competitor's offer and it actually hit really well, so I decided to use this. And then it went from kind of working to actually selling like hotcakes, and it was like a complete surprise because I was thinking this product's okay, but maybe we should kill it. But as soon as we changed the offer, changed the price, changed the market, it started converting really well. So it just goes to show, if a product has potential, don't kill it until you test every single variable and change it, okay? These quick testing strategies where you test one day, kill it if there's no performance, sometimes you do need to actually change some variables first because you might have just missed out on a winner, which explains why a lot of people scale up these winning products that you think are saturated. It's just because your angle and your offer are usually not very good and you're not doing anything unique to stand out in the market. So it's a night and day difference when we change these 2 variables, right? Or 2 or 3 variables. And this just proves that you can just change a semi-winner into a pure winner with some changes. Now, the challenge then was to actually figure out how to actually market this thing. So the product is quite impressive, right? But we used a ripped creative. So how do we replicate this success? How do we actually keep selling it? I always preach never to rip creatives. I think it's a really bad idea. So after it actually worked and I could see this thing is actually converting, I decided to actually figure out how on earth I can edit these on my own. So how can I make these ad creatives myself? Because then this would prevent getting DMCA'd or copyrighted. And then this would also mean when the ads start to die and get creative exhaustion, which is a thing on TikTok where the ads start to perform worse when it's being shown to enough people, I can actually make my own ads and then keep scaling the product or keep selling it before it dies. So I want to increase the product lifetime. I wanted to protect the bottom line from getting DMCA'd. So I edited my own ads. So from there, I basically analyzed how this creative that I was testing from someone else, how it was structured. So how did they actually create this thing? What was the hook that they used? And how can I actually sell this product and present my offer in the best format? So I basically copied their creative recipe and started rehashing my own. I then replicated this ad using this same formula with new clips of the product I'd found on social media, and they also worked. So I could tell that this creative formula was good, the product was good, and we had a good offer. So I just had to keep recreating this and testing tons of new creatives. From here on out, all I had to do was just keep making new content. So I'm making like 10 to 15 new ads a week because only like a third of them might convert. Basically, I just created tons and tons of ads and just kept testing them. And since creatives die fairly fast on TikTok, I edited new content with like trending viral songs, and most of them also pop too. So that's basically what I was doing. Now, next up, what I did was I found a supplier for the product who could get me a fairly decent price. One challenge was to first negotiate the price down because the cost of goods was just way too high to actually make a profit on. Usually when you're new to being with a supplier, they're not really going to give you any leg room to make a deal or negotiate because you don't have any of the leverage, right? You don't have tons of sales yet. I actually came to them, I think, with like quite a few sales, but this was with a different product. So I had like 20 or 30 sales, not anything too groundbreaking. So I didn't really have much room to negotiate with him, but I needed to negotiate the price down because what he was offering was not very good and I was already on quite a thin margin. So I couldn't sell to certain markets because certain countries that he'd ship to cost too much for me. And literally with this product, since my offer's so good, I'm selling for quite cheap. Like a $5 difference means a lot. It means that I'm not profitable, right? So I basically had to figure out where I was selling and I had to get the prices down. Now, the first problem I had once I had a price for the product and I could actually start selling it was actually the scaling, because I guess I would say I became kind of an expert in Facebook ads over the past few months because I'd just been learning it every single day, right? But I hadn't touched TikTok ads in a year, and TikTok as a platform had changed since then, and they'd gone from like interest targeting to being really good at broad targeting. I had to basically relearn the platform completely, and I got some advice on scaling when my campaign started to work, and I basically just started bumping up the budgets. So I just started bumping up the budgets to the moon basically, and I just drastically increased budgets based on performance, and the ROAS and stuff just started climbing real quick, 0 to 100 basically. I think within a series of like 3 days of testing, I began to slowly scale, and then I hit the first big milestone, and then the second big milestone, the third, fourth, and basically a fifth big milestone. So I went from like not reaching a certain level revenue ever with e-commerce, and then reaching like double that, triple that, basically reaching these milestones which I didn't think were possible, which is pretty crazy for revenue, and it was still actually profitable, which is pretty crazy. Now the margins weren't really that great. Some days they were like 17%, some days they were like up to 25-30%, but it was usually around the 20% mark, usually 17 to around 22%. So they were healthy margins, but they weren't the best. And basically the reason I didn't scale up as quick as possible, or even quicker with this product, is because I had some big cash flow issues. Now, as a beginner, you're going to run into this, and a lot of the gurus aren't going to tell you that this is a thing because they want to preach you like this fake dream where you can scale to 100k in a day. It doesn't work like that, right? You're going to have cash flow problems, and as a beginner, I certainly did have these problems because I didn't have any savings to dip into. I had like a constant income, which was like average wage from YouTube and other stuff, so I didn't really have a lot of money, so I couldn't dip into money and fall back on it. And the cash flow became a big problem, so I couldn't scale because money wasn't coming in quick enough to keep scaling, otherwise it would have crashed the business. And also PayPal, when I started to make really good revenue, PayPal was holding like $3,000 or $4,000 of money, so I literally couldn't afford to pay for orders, so I was then behind on orders. And they held that money for 21 days, so you can imagine I was basically paying for old orders with new money coming in from new customers, which is really not ideal. And I had to end up fixing that problem so then I could send all the customers orders, because otherwise that would have been bad business practices. Now, during Chinese New Year, I also got the problem where my suppliers started cutting corners and being a little bit sloppy, and basically it seemed like you started to send some of the wrong variants of the product to customers due to actual demand of the product and not having enough stock. And this became a problem because I had to deal with quite a lot of refunds, and luckily I've gotten things mostly back on track right now and I haven't really had too many refund requests since then, but it's still a thing that I'm going to probably constantly have to deal with in the backlog of old orders, right? And also with the Chinese post being really bad, even though we stopped when people quit work, then the postal service went off and things got slow with the post too, so I had to then refund people who weren't getting the packages. So there was a few different problems we had to deal with that. Now, there were also days where I returned to selling this product recently after Chinese New Year was over, and I made some grave mistakes with my calculations. Now, I use a profit tracker. I use True Profit, which is a really great app, but I was basically putting the cost of goods on the highest end because I'm selling to different markets and some markets cost more than the other markets. So I was putting the highest price of the product in the most expensive market because I can only put one price for the cost of goods in the profit tracker. So I basically put the most expensive price, and from all the orders, that most expensive price said that I was not making a profit and I was actually in minus. So I was thinking about killing the product, and I started to actually kill ad sets, which ended up being profitable, but I just calculated wrong because I realized most of my orders were coming from the cheaper market, like 95% of the orders, and only like 5% were coming from that more expensive market that had that price. So I was calculating that I was making a loss when in fact I was actually very much so in profit. So I'd killed ad sets with a great ROAS and I decreased my spend, and I wasted like hours, if not a few days, of actually having room for scaling and making profit. So I ended up losing out on money I could have made, which was a big learning experience and a big mistake. Now, when I realized this, I basically had wasted 2 days of scaling, and then the product went unprofitable, and now recently I've only just got it profitable again. So there were some big lessons with that. Now, one thing that I learned as well is you'll have to deal with angry or impatient customers, and it can get pretty ugly. People being awkward about changing the order and then wanting to then cancel it after, and then returns also causing big problems. So there was a lot of problems with scaling this product. But when scaling, it seemed like every day at the very peak, I was just breaking targets consistently, right? I wish I could have just had more savings at the time or had like a way bigger credit line with my credit card to actually scale more aggressively, but it just wasn't possible. And sometimes you have to do things the right way and just do things slowly just so you stay afloat, because if you get reckless and you want to keep bumping the budgets to get rich quickly, it usually crashes and burns and you just get suspended ad accounts, suspended payment processes and holds, and it just doesn't end well for you. So I did things the smart way and I did things slower, but in retrospect, if I was a little bit more aggressive, I probably could have made more money. But I'm glad I did things the right way because I managed not to actually crash when cash flow got pretty hard. But it just goes to show that anything is basically possible, and I actually got these results because of a few different factors: good product research, testing every single variable possible and changing them before completely giving up on the product, and just focusing on key skills like good marketing, editing killer ad creatives that were actually my own instead of ripping them. And that's why all the competitors didn't find any success with this product I'm selling, because they just were trying to rip and copy my creatives, but they didn't even know how to make them themselves, or they were using creatives that didn't convert and then they thought the product was bad and just gave up. So that's how I got an edge and how I beat the competition with this product. Now, if you want to get results like this yourself, then you can actually join my free Discord, which is linked in the description down below. And also you can click the join button, and this will allow you to join my private Discord, where I'm going to be sharing all my ad strategies that are working for me right now on TikTok ads and everything I used on Meta to make some good revenue. And I'm not sharing any of this stuff anywhere else, even on the channel, because right now it's giving me an edge. So if you do want to get access to that kind of stuff and get some real success, you can click the join button down below this video on the channel and start getting some success this year. Also, if you want some more one-to-one help and you want to ask me direct questions, you can also DM me on Instagram at the Blue Crusader for one-on-one coaching. Just shoot me a DM and ask me about that. I might accept like less than 5 people to help out this year, and if you're serious about getting some success with dropshipping, then that might be something that you're interested in. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel because I'm posting constant free value every single week, and I want to help out the most people possible so people can actually get some of the numbers like this for themselves this year. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you real soon.